Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards.
Hello and welcome to the ISO Show. I'm Steph Churchman and I'm the Communications Manager here at Blackmores. Today I'm joined by our Service Improvement Manager, Sarah Ball, who has been instrumental in developing what we'll be talking about today, which is the Leadership Powerup Gameplan, available on the ISology Hub. So first of all, hi Sarah, thanks for joining me today.
Hi Steph, nice to be here.
Great. Before we dive into what this game plan is exactly, I'm going to give our listeners a brief introduction to the ISology Hub. So the ISology Hub is a one-stop online learning platform for all things ISO. It currently hosts over 200 resources covering various quality, risk and sustainability standards, with its main feature being the ISO Roadmap. The Roadmap is an online guided tutorial on how to complete your own bespoke environmental management system and follows our proven 7-step methodology for implementing any ISO standard. On the Hub, you can also find the ISO pathways, which take you from learner to leader in your chosen subject area. And these also include quizzes along the way to test what you've learned as you progress. There's a lot of other content, such as coffee break training, which are bite-sized videos covering a specific element of ISO standards that you can watch while having a cup of coffee. In addition, we also have a whole library of ISO-related templates and downloadable handbooks that can help you create or enhance your existing management system. And of course, we have the game plans, which are action-focused guides that tackle specific challenges that many face while managing ISO within their business. So in short, there's quite a lot of content. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the ISology Hub, stay tuned to the end of the episode as we have an exclusive membership discount available to ISO Show listeners. Now today we'll be breaking down a specific bit of content, the Leadership Powerup Gameplan. So Sarah, I guess the first question is, what issue is the Leadership Powerup Gameplan tackling?
Yeah, so it's tackling a really important challenge that a lot of organisations have with management systems, especially if they've had their management system for a little while and it's kind of feeling a little unloved. That is the importance of having real leadership backing for the management system. So what can often happen, and this was partly due to the way the standards used to be written, is that the management system would be delegated to what they used to term a management representative, but essentially delegated to a person or a team to say, right, you're responsible for quality, or you're responsible for health and safety, or information security, whatever it may be. And in it being delegated, there was kind of a disconnect between the leadership and the management system. So when they introduced the new standards in the mid sort of 2010s, what they tried to do was really bring back the importance of leadership into those standards. So the clause 5 is the one that talks about leadership. And it essentially says that you have to have leadership backing for anything to be effective in the business. That's just the way companies work. If it's not a priority for leadership, it's not going to be a priority for anyone else. So this game plan is about getting leadership to understand how important their role is in making the management system really effective for the wider business. Because I think most leaders see the value of health and safety, quality, information security, whatever it may be, but they kind of don't know how they can contribute to that.
Yeah.
And how they can really raise the profile of it within the business. So this game plan basically takes you through how to understand where you are at the moment with your leadership engagement and taking you on a path of improvement to get them more actively involved in being a really positive ambassador for the management system and making it part of the day-to-day for everyone in whatever job they're in the business.
Yeah, leadership is definitely a topic that's come up quite a lot on the ISO Show through the years. Ian, especially our other host, he's done an episode covering that in more detail, just in general, how integral leadership is to the running of a management system. As you say, it doesn't go anywhere if it doesn't come from the top down. So they really do need to be seen to be involved. Otherwise, why would people follow along with something that leadership isn't actively promoting or actively doing anything with? It seems kind of pointless if they don't get themselves involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have to lead by example.
Yeah.
If you're asking people to suggest improvements or to follow procedures or to, live your policies and your ethics and your values as a business, if they're not seeing the leadership team doing that, then immediately it undermines, well, why should I spend my time and effort to do something that I'm not seeing the people in management do as well. So it's definitely a lead by example. And the purpose of the game plan is really to help them understand how they can do that and how the standards are designed to give leadership that platform from which to promote their own management system, and not promote even the management system, is promoting the topic of the management system, whether that's quality or information security or health and safety or environmental or business continuity, whatever it is. It's about them being an ambassador for that within the organisation in whatever role they have as a leader as well. And I think that's really important. It shouldn't just be one member of the leadership team that is focused on it. Everyone has their role to play in making it part of the day-to-day way of working, rather than just a bolt-on thing that happens somewhere over the side and there's some audits happening over there and we've got a certificate. It needs to really be woven into the fabric of the business.
Yeah. So if someone were to utilise the game plan, who is the game plan itself actually aimed at? Who would be the best person to go through that?
So it could either be the team that have kind of got day-to-day responsibility for maintaining the management system as a minimum, but ideally you would want a member of leadership as well involved in actually working through this game plan. And that's the first element of their commitment to it, right, is to actually engage with the game plan itself and learn and develop themselves. So yeah, definitely at least one member of leadership. If you can get more than one, even better.
That makes sense, I suppose, with the namesake of the actual game plan itself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I believe this game plan is broken down into 6 steps. Do you mind briefly going over each step, kind of what's included and what they can get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step is called Evaluate Leadership, and it's a little bit of a honest reflection on where they are at the moment in terms of how well they're promoting the topic of the management system, how well they are leading by example, as I mentioned earlier. So it goes through why leadership, engagement and commitment is so important, a little like you were saying, Ian explained in the other ISO show podcast. But it also then starts looking at a practical way to evaluate where you currently are. So a bit of a self-scoring, but you have to be open and honest with yourselves. And this is where it is good to get a team of people involved in this, because the leadership team may have a different perspective on how engaged they are and how well they demonstrate their commitment to the wider organisation. So it's always a little bit of a 360 idea, the first stage. So there's a workbook that you can download in that stage of the game plan to assess basically the engagement levels from the leadership team with the management system.
Yeah.
So that's the bit where you've got to be kind of, open, honest, and not be worried about upsetting people, I guess, is important there. And there's also in that section a workbook that you can download that talks through the causes of why leadership are not engaged in your particular business. So there's some general examples given of typical reasons, but then that workbook walks you through how to assess, well, what are the particular causes in your organisation? Because it's only when you understand why something's happening that you can start developing a plan to tackle it and improve that situation.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. We then have boosting knowledge as the second step. So this is really a section that walks them through what leadership commitment looks like, what good looks like, essentially. What are we trying to aim for? What are we trying to achieve? And what do you want it to be in your business as well? So it's about developing that knowledge and understanding so that you can then, again, start working on a plan for how you improve it within your business. So we've got some definitions in there. There's some videos in that section as well that just give you a bit of a better understanding of what leadership engagement with the management system can look like for any organisation. The third stage then is called planning your process. And this is where you are trying to say, okay, where do we want to get to? So we've already assessed at the beginning where we are now. This stage is where do we want to get to? What do we want to achieve at the end of this game plan? What does good leadership engagement look like for us specifically in this business? So that's step 3. And again, there's a workbook in there that you can download that takes you through practical activities to determine what you're aiming for as a business. There's also a good section in there about understanding how processes interact, because that's a really fundamental part of all ISO management systems, is this idea that the way your business operates is as one big system, not just an individual process in an individual team. And again, leadership, understanding that big picture is really important. So they're the ones that need to be able to show the wider business, this is how what you do in this team impacts what's happening in this team over here. So it talks about process interactions as well. The next section is delivered data. So one thing that all leaders love is data, information. Give me the numbers, because numbers are what help people make real value decisions, effective decisions. So this guides you through what sort of data you should be getting out of your management system, how that can be presented to leadership so that they can use that data for the benefit of that topic, whatever it may be. So that's a really important one. And it leads back to one of the fundamentals of quality management that underpins ISO 9001, which is data-driven decision making. So this idea that you don't just use gut feel, although gut feel does happen in a lot of organizations, but also having something to back that up. Whether that be feedback from your customers or whether it be feedback from your employees or whether it's just the number of sales going up or down, whatever it might be, it's making the most of that data. And health and safety is a really good example of where data is important, because it's not just about accidents, it's about near misses and other things like that. So that's what that section kind of walks through in detail.
Yeah.
And then we have a section on strengthening strategy. And I think this is something that's really important to leaders, is they have a very strategic focus. And so it's really important that your management system aligns with that strategy. And I believe Ian's talked about this as well on one of his podcasts. That alignment between what your management system is trying to achieve and what your overall business strategy is really important. And it's a really key way that you can get leadership engaged with the management system, because this is something that they care about already. They're really, really focused on strategy anyway. So by aligning your management system with your overall strategy, you're naturally going to have more of an alignment between leadership's priorities and the management system's priorities as well. So that's that section. And then the final one is about consolidating compliance. So this is often the bit that people kind of associate with management systems. It's about doing what it says I've got to do.
Yeah.
And it is important, but it is by no means the be all and end all of what management system about. But it's, again, that role of leadership in terms of leading by example, following their own policies and procedures, but also reviewing those and making sure they are still relevant and that it's not just something that was written 5 years ago and no one's looked at it since and we're still expecting people to follow it. So it's very much about how you consolidate your compliance and get leadership as part of that process as well.
Okay, well, just going through it kind of reminds me of the very kind of cyclical nature of how ISO standards work. It's how we implement standards. It's, as you say, like the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle that all standards have. It's planning, looking, reviewing what you've got, planning ahead to what you want to do, checking the information that you've got to hand, and then actually going through with the plans that you planned in the earlier stages.
Yeah.
And then possibly going over that again if things don't work or if you want to improve further along the line. Again, I think these game plans are something that you don't have to do just once. You can revisit them in a couple of years' time or a year's time and see how you've done compared to where you started with it. I think it's good to have the workbooks as well for that reference. You can kind of see what you were planning and then see what's actually been done and if it's improved things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you first implement a management system, the leadership team's very involved at that stage because it's a big company change. It's really important. A lot of resources are being used to deliver that. So they're kind of actively involved in it. So where this game plan comes in is maybe you've had your management system for a little while, and so it's no longer a new thing. It's no longer something that is requiring their direct attention in order to actually get it done. But that's when it's really important to look at how can we keep spurring this on? How can we keep making it improve over time? But another time when this game plan I think is really useful is if you have a change of leadership.
Yeah.
So maybe people come into the leadership team who weren't involved in the initial implementation. They don't really necessarily know what they're supposed to do or why you implemented your management system the way you did in the first place. So it's very difficult for them to be an advocate for something that they don't really understand and they weren't involved in from the beginning. So this is a good opportunity if you've got new leaders as well to work through this with them and just give them the information and understanding so that they can become a true advocate and promoter of the management system.
Yeah, that would make sense. Well, yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. And I suppose I should really be saying thank you for actually creating the game plans in the first place. I know how much work goes into making these as well, because we both work on the ISology Hub. So, yeah, thank you very much. And don't forget to go back and listen to our previous episode where we covered the Audit Accelerator game plan. It's really another really useful tool for anyone who's interested. So, yeah, thank you for joining me today, Sarah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, of course, we only covered the game plan briefly, so if you want to dive into it in more detail, then I'd recommend signing up to the ISology Hub to get access to the full game plan and all those workbooks. As mentioned, we have an exclusive deal for ISO show listeners where you can get an annual ISology Hub membership with a 20% discount on the standard annual fee. So if you want to claim that, either click on the link provided in the show notes or send an email to inquiries@blackmoresuk.com and quote the phrase ISology Hub 20 and we'll get you set up. This discount will be valid until the 31st of March 2026, so be sure to claim it before then. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe on your preferred media player, and if you have a few minutes to spare, can you please leave us a nice shiny 5-star review, as these really do help us to reach a wider audience. So that's it from us. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to catching up with you on the next ISO show.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.